I never knew a wrong text could change my life. Billionaire's love saved me. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It started just like any other day. My phone buzzed incessantly with messages from friends, reminders of deadlines, and one random notification. But that particular notification? It was a mistake. My heart raced as I stared at the screen. The name flashing on it sent shivers down my spine. Alex Sinclair, the billionaire whose face graced magazine covers and dreams alike. I didn't know him. Not really. Just a few glimpses in the media. And then I opened the text. Meet me at the corner of 5th and Main. I have something important for you. My breath hitched. What was happening? Who was this man? My hands trembled as I quickly typed back a confused response before panicking that I had it all wrong. My best friend Lucy walked in just then, her eyes wide. Who are you texting? It's Alex Sinclair. Her mouth dropped open. What? Are you joking? I wish I was. Saying his name made my heart thud loudly, a pulsing drum in the silence of my small apartment. I felt everything swirl around me. The idea of a billionaire was intoxicating. Luxury, power, prestige, everything I had never had but longed for. But was it worth diving into this unknown? I took a breath, staring at the clock. I was running late. Guilt twisted in my stomach as I rushed out the door, the faint smell of rain lingering in the air. The sky was darkening, mirroring the chaos brewing inside me. Each step felt heavy. The bustling city was alive, people laughing, cars honking, but my mind felt detached, lost in thought. What if this was just a prank? What if he was someone dangerous? I shook my head, pushing the fears aside. Arriving at the corner, I looked around, and my heart sank. Nobody was there. I stared at the empty street. The cool breeze nipped at my skin, sending chills down my spine. Doubt wrapped around me, squeezing tighter until I felt a lump in my throat. Maybe I should have just ignored that text. My phone buzzed again. It was a picture. A black and white shot of a rooftop illuminated by city lights. A hint of a man standing against the skyline. Up here. My pulse quickened. I hurried up the stairs of the building, panic morphing into something electric. Was I about to meet the most powerful man in the city? Or was I walking into an elaborate trap? I stepped onto the rooftop, and there he was. Alex Sinclair stood there, silhouetted against the twinkling skyline, his face sharp and striking. Everything around him seemed to fade, the city noise becoming a hushed whisper. "Thanks for coming," he said, his voice smooth and deep. Every muscle in my body froze. Questions swirled in my mind like wildfire, but the most pressing one remained. Why me? As I stood there, heart racing and mind whirling, he stepped closer. The air thickened with unspoken tension. And then, just like that, I found myself caught in a whirlwind that would change my life forever. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The moment felt surreal, like stepping into a dream that I couldn't quite grasp. Alex Sinclair was more than just a man. He was a beacon of something I didn't know. I was seeking a chance to escape the ordinary. But as he leaned a little closer, the city lights casting a soft glow on his features, my heart beat loudly in my ears, drowning out the cacophony of competing thoughts. "What did you want to talk about?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper, as if raising it too high might shatter the delicate moment. He paused, searching my face with an intensity that made me feel oddly vulnerable. "It's not easy for me to reach out," he began, the weight of his words palpable in the chilly air. "But I received a message from a friend of yours. She thought you could help me." "Help you?" I echoed, confusion spiraling through me like a wild wind. Who could possibly think I could provide assistance to a man like him? I was a girl struggling to make ends meet, and he was a force of nature. "You don't have to," he said, as if picking up on the hesitation radiating from me. "But I need someone I can trust. Someone who doesn't care about my name or my wealth." That struck a chord deep within me. It was true, everything I knew about him was superficial. I had never wanted to just be another face in his world. Deep down, I wished to uncover the layers beneath that gilded exterior, to find the man hidden under the billionaire facade. I don't understand, I finally managed. What kind of help? He sighed, stepping back slightly as he ran a hand through his hair, an exasperated motion that revealed the vulnerability lurking behind his powerful image. I need someone to accompany me to an event tonight. It's a charity gala, and I have no one to bring. I can't go alone. It becomes a spectacle, a headline. I just want to be normal for a night. A strange mix of emotions gripped my heart: nervousness, excitement, and a curious empathy. The thought of stepping into his world, mingling among the upper echelons of society, made my heart race and my stomach twist in equal parts. Was I ready for that? Why me? Surely there are many options: models, socialites. I trailed off awkwardly, once again feeling the disparity between our worlds. He took a step closer again, his gaze unwavering. I don't want superficial. I want authenticity. Someone who's not dazzled by the lifestyle or the money. And besides, he added, a hint of a smile playing at his lips, I think you would be perfect for it. Before I could process his compliment, my phone buzzed in my pocket, the instant intrusion of reality amid the intensity of the moment. It was a text from Lucy. Are you okay? I tried calling, and you didn't answer. What's going on? I glanced back up at Alex, torn between excitement and the deep-rooted fear of the unknown. The pulsating city lights shone brightly behind him, almost urging me forward. He seemed to sense my hesitation. Join me, he invited softly, the warmth of his voice encasing me like a blanket in the cool night. It felt surreal, standing on a rooftop with a billionaire who sought my companionship to navigate his world. I was overwhelmed, yet a quiet hope began to flutter within me. As I contemplated navigating the unknown, I had relegated the thoughts of my mundane life for just a moment. Perhaps tonight was an opportunity to escape the clutches of my fears, just as much as it was a chance for Alex to find his way through his hellish existence. But just then, as I prepared to say yes, my phone buzzed again, this time with a notification that would shift everything I had just begun to feel. Your bank statement has been updated. The familiar dread washed over me, saturating the air around us. I had been spending money I didn't have, drowning in bills and obligations, and here I was, about to step into a world where everything sparkled but my own life. Are you okay? Alex asked, noticing the shift in my expression. And just like that, nothing felt certain anymore. The hope, the thrill, the allure of the night began to crumble under the weight of reality. Don't know, I stammered, unable to suppress the whirlpool of emotions thrumming inside me. In that moment, as I teetered between a life-altering decision and the harshness of my reality, I recognized that life was full of uncertainties, as breathtaking as they were terrifying. Would I fall into his world and let go of mine? Or would I be forced to choose the stability of what I know? But beneath the flickering city lights and Alex's probing gaze, another truth emerged, casting shadows over everything. How could anyone trust a billionaire, when even my own choices felt so precarious? And then, silence enveloped us, unpredictable and thick, punctuated only by the hum of the city below, leaving me with a question that echoed in my mind. How could a text change everything, when the unyielding grip of my past threatened to pull me back? The silence hung heavy between us, crackling with unspoken words and unresolved tensions. Beneath the seemingly tranquil surface, my insides churned with fear and doubt. I had been on the brink of something remarkably inescape, a chance to break free from the monotony of my life, but now I felt ensnared in a web of my responsibilities, my crushing debts, and the weight of expectations that were all too tangible. That I need a moment, I murmured, my breath quickening as I stepped back, the chill of the evening slicing through the heat of the moment we had shared. I could see Alex's brow furrow with concern. He nodded, respecting my space, but remaining close enough to convey that he wouldn't abandon me in my spiraling thoughts. The chaotic cityscape that had felt alive and wondrous moments ago now seemed oppressive, each flickering light a reminder of the chaos I could not escape. Stepping away from the rooftop's ledge, I turned away from him and leaned against the cool stone wall, focusing on the pulse of my heart rather than the weight of my reality. The buzzing in my pocket became a chorus of doom, almost taunting me. I cursed under my breath, but knew I had to face the facts. I needed to know how much worse my situation had become. With trembling fingers, I tapped on the screen, and the numbers glared back at me, blinking like a countdown to impending disaster. Just breathe. Alex's voice cut through the fog of my thoughts, his presence grounding. I glanced back at him, his eyes filled with a mixture of concern and determination. Whatever it is, we can work through it together. Together, I repeated, a wry laugh escaping my lips. The word felt foreign, unfitting. I had spent so long carrying my burdens alone that the idea of sharing them seemed both comforting and terrifying. I don't want to burden you with my problems, I confessed, tears stinging my eyes. I'm so afraid it'll drag you down with me. He took a step forward, his intensity transforming into something softer, something that felt like the warmth of sunlight on a chilly morning. You're not a burden. Everyone has their struggles. I'm asking for your help tonight, not to use you, but to share in whatever this is together. His voice was steady and reassuring, and I felt an unexpected flicker of hope ignite within me. What if I dared to take this leap? What if embracing this unknown could bring some relief, some clarity among the chaos I was living in? As if reading my thoughts, he continued, I understand that my world is different. I won't pretend to know your struggles, but you don't have to face them alone. Sometimes, all it takes is a little kindness and a fresh perspective. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again, another message, but I hesitated to look. I was caught in a battle between hope and the relentless reminders of my reality, like a pendulum swinging back and forth, searching for balance. Maybe it's not always about fighting alone, you know? Alex suggested, sensing my internal conflict. What if you allowed yourself a moment of grace? A break from the weight? His words struck a chord, and for the first time that evening, I allowed myself to envision a path unburdened. Stepping toward him again, I fought back the tears. Could I really be part of your world for just one night without it all crashing down? Could it be enough to regain my footing? Let's find out together, he replied earnestly, and suddenly, disbelief permeated the air, and so did something more powerful, the tiniest splinter of hope. But hope was always accompanied by shadows. A veil of uncertainty settled back down as I recalled the storm brewing beneath surface calm, a chance that I could lose everything if I made the wrong choice. My stomach twisted again, torn between the possibility of a new start and the anxiety of the unavoidable realities of tomorrow. Okay, I whispered. Okay. Alex's tone perked up, full of curiosity. Okay, I'll go to the gala with you. My heart raced with fear and excitement as his face brightened, but I couldn't shake the gnawing anxiety deep within as I felt the invisible strings of my past tug at me. Then, before I could let the excitement envelop me fully, my phone chimed once more, this time with a text that snuffed the flicker of hope. We need to talk. Mom and Dad are worried. It's about your loans. The gravity of the message hit me like a punch to the gut. My breath hitched as reality surged back into focus, dimming the light that had begun to break through. I'm sorry, I really need to, I began, but the disappointment was evident in Alex's expression as he realized the truth of my situation, the moment we had just shared fracturing before my eyes. Go, he urged gently, his voice reclaiming its strength with each word. Handle your life. They'll be here when you're ready. Just know, you deserve more than this pain. I nodded, locking eyes with him one final time, trying to convey everything I felt: fear, appreciation, longing. And in that gaze, I found what was almost like a promise. As I stepped away from him, the crack in the moment seemed to widen, yet I felt my heart cling to the hope that had momentarily glimmered. I would face whatever was waiting for me head on. As I texted Lucy back, I could still feel Alex's presence behind me, an unexpected anchor to the storm that raged within me. And as I turned to leave, the weight of unanswered questions hung in the air. What was I truly willing to risk? Could I afford to grasp the fleeting moments of beauty amidst the chaos of my life? I stepped into the night, heart pounding, as I felt the frayed edges of my choices looming ever larger, and my pulse quickening in tandem with a world that had more to reveal than I could ever have anticipated. The city lights blurred into streaks of color as I rushed down the street, the insistent glow of my phone pulling me back into a reality that felt miles away from the warmth of Alex's gaze. We need to talk. Mom and Dad are worried. It's about your loans. The words echoed in my mind, taunting me with the gravity of my situation. The tight grip of anxiety squeezed my chest, each breath punctuated by the urgency of my family's looming worry. Hey, Lucy, I answered when I finally hit dial, the voice on the other end breaking my fleeting moment of peace. Her tone was fractured, like glass ready to shatter. We need to figure this out. You can't keep avoiding them. I know, I replied, the tremor in my voice betraying my bravery. I'm trying, really. It's just complicated. 1,000 excuses danced in my mind, but none felt sufficient against the tidal wave of concern crashing from my best friend. That I don't want to sound harsh, but avoiding the conversation isn't helping. You need to talk to them, she urged, biting back frustration that echoed my own inner turmoil. Okay, I muttered, squeezing my eyes shut as if that could mute the reality landing heavy on my shoulders. I'll meet them. I am coming with you, she insisted. We'll figure it out together. You don't have to go in alone. Part of me wanted to push back, to make Lucy understand how much I loved that she wanted to help. But the other part knew I was spiraling, caught between the joy Alex had sparked and the suffocating fear of my escalating debts. I felt a fracture, a chasm growing deeper with each promise I made that I couldn't seem to keep. Arriving at my apartment, dread settled in my stomach. I glanced around at the clutter, the invoices piled like dark clouds promising rain, and the ominous silence reminded me I was both the storm and the one waiting for it to pass. The weight of my family's expectations thickened the air. They had sacrificed so much, and I felt like I was standing on the edge of failing them. Lucy, I said as we sat on my small couch, her unwavering support a lifeline. What if I can't figure this out? What if I let everyone down? You won't, she replied firmly, her eyes steady and fierce. You're resilient, and there's still time. We'll face them together. As her words wrapped around me like a shield, I found a flicker of hope, but moments later, a flurry of guilt rushed in. I was pulling Lucy into my mess, unwillingly sharing burdens that weren't hers to carry. Could I continue to let her stand beside me, or would I tear her down, just like I feared I'd rip apart my own life? With a heavy heart, I picked up my phone again, the group message from my parents waiting for my answer. Their concern roiled within me. I pressed the button, my fingers trembling over the glass, each breath heavy with uncertainty. They'll be home soon, I finally typed, my heart stuttering at the finality of it. The response buzzed almost immediately. We're worried. Just talk to us. Talk, I thought bitterly. The word hung in the air, charged with the weight of expectations and the stark reality of my financial situation. The kaleidoscope of the evening's possibilities flickered out like a candle snuffed by a gust of wind. I'll always be in your corner, you know that, right? Lucy's unwavering voice brought me back to the moment. That I don't want to drag you down, I admitted, my voice a whisper. What if this all goes wrong? Life is about taking chances, she said, her tone insistent. And look at me, every time I authorize a new shipment for my little shop, I'm hoping that risk will mean something. You're worth the risk, so don't you dare back down. The warmth of her words wrapped around my heart, making me reflect on my own fight, on the strength I had buried under fear. Maybe there was still a path back to hope, one I couldn't see clearly yet, but could feel in my bones. As I prepared to leave for my parents' house, a flicker of excitement unexpectedly ignited in me. Alex's warmth lingered like sunlight on my skin, a reminder that there could still be beauty amid my struggles. Hey, Lucy. I paused before heading for the door. What if what? She asked, a hint of expectation in her voice. What if I let Alex in? Really in? What if I accept the kind of help he's willing to offer me, not just as an escape, but as a lifeline? Lucy smiled softly, her eyes sparkling with the understanding that runs deep between us. Then you'd be making the wisest choice of all. It's okay to accept help. Just don't let the fear of losing hold you back from something extraordinary. As I stepped into the evening air, the chill nipped at my skin, invigorating me. I could do this, face my family, take responsibility for my debts, and maybe even embrace whatever was happening between Alex and me. But when I arrived, the door opened to my parents' worried faces, the atmosphere heavy with unasked questions hanging in the air. The moment felt loaded, like a loaded gun, ready to go off at any second. I'm here, I said, though the words felt as hollow as the space where my confidence should have anchored me. What came next felt like stepping off a cliff into unknown waters, uncertainty swirling around me, as if daring me to prove I could swim. As they began speaking, the world became a blur. Then, Just as I was about to take a breath and dive into the chaos of my family's expectations, my phone buzzed again. A familiar name lit up the screen, one I hadn't anticipated yet always knew loomed in the background. It was Alex. I can't wait for the gala. I think you're going to surprise yourself. And just like that, the fragile thread of hope I'd been clinging to stretched taut, daring me to believe in something greater than the weight of my everyday struggles. And yet, with that single text came the shocking realization that everything was about to change, whether I was ready or not. Could I hold on to both? As the shadows lengthened around me, I knew one thing. The journey ahead would either break me or finally set me free. The laughter spilled out of my parents' living room like an unwelcome specter, wrapping itself around my hesitation as I walked inside. The walls felt familiar yet distant, as if they belonged to someone else entirely. I caught snippets of conversation unraveling around me, their words a dissonant chorus against the dread settling in my chest. Did you hear about that new cafe opening downtown? Mom's voice rose above the gentle clinking of forks and glasses, piercing through the cloud of my anxiety. Maybe Lucy can help her friend open a place that's been getting a lot of buzz. Dad added, his tone cheerful and oblivious to the weight I carried. I forced a smile as I sank into the worn armchair, fighting the urge to flee. They were here, trying to grasp for straws of normalcy, while I was on the precipice of unraveling. Hey, I said, my voice trembling like the last leaf in autumn, barely clinging to its branch. They turned to look at me, the energy around the table shifting from light-hearted banter to heavy concern. The laughter faded, hanging in the air inelegantly, and I felt the heavy weight of their expectations all over again. Lucy said you'd be here, my mother said, brushing a stray hair behind her ear, a gesture that felt like digging up old wounds. I did, Lucy interjected, a hint of solidarity in her voice. But the panic in her eyes told me she felt the storm brewing beneath the surface of our charming family dynamic. We're just worried about you, Lucy, Dad began, his tone earnest and unyielding. You've been distant. It's not like you. We just want to help you figure everything out. I opened my mouth to protest, to give some excuse that would deflect the probing anxiety radiating from their gazes, but the words fell short. The truth was right there, clawing at the back of my throat, ready to spill out and shatter the fragile sense of control I had managed to muster. Instead, silence extended like a chasm between us. I felt the urge to scream, to shake them awake, to make them see the gravity of my situation. But I was paralyzed by the fear of letting the floodgates open, knowing that beneath it all lay disappointment and heartbreak. Fidgeting with the hem of my sweater, I caught sight of my phone again. Its screen glowed, a beacon of distraction from the reality surrounding me. It was Alex's message, faint hope tinged with the bittersweet knowledge that while my heart ached for him, my reality loomed like a storm cloud too close for comfort. Lucy, could we talk? I blurted suddenly, breaking the tension that had wrapped itself around us like a thick fog. Sure, she answered, a flicker of concern flashing across her face. We stepped away from the dining table, making our way to the kitchen where the noise faded and the shadows offered a moment of respite. Listen, I'm really scared, I confessed, the tremor in my voice cracking, but it felt liberating to admit it. They expect so much from me, and I feel like I'm drowning. What if I let them down? What if I can't pay my loans? What if? Her eyes softened, understanding reflected in their depths. You won't let them down, Lucy. You're figuring this out in your own way, and it's okay to feel lost sometimes. Just remember, you have strengths you haven't even tapped into yet. Before I could respond, the kitchen door swung open, and my father stood there, a tentative smile gracing his lips. We've talked it over, and we think a financial advisor might help you sort things out. My mind reeled. A financial advisor? I was already strapped for cash. She couldn't afford to engage someone who would only add to the list of expectations. But when I looked at him, the genuine hope shining in his eyes made me reconsider. Dad, I appreciate that, I said slowly, but I don't know if I can handle any more advice right now. The words dripped with uncertainty, reflecting the internal battle raging inside me. Let us help you the way we know how. You don't have to face this alone, he urged, a tenderness that felt both foreign and comforting. Right, I said, swallowing hard, grappling with my emotions. But just as I was about to let him in, just when a flicker of unease gave way to a thread of hope, my phone buzzed again, shattering the fragile bubble surrounding us. The screen read, "Lucy, I need to talk about something important. Can we meet?" My heart quickened, and time distorted. I took a deep breath, an abrupt wave of realization crashing into me. This was Alex, reaching out just when I needed to make a choice. "I really need a moment," I stammered, rushing back into the living space and accidentally bumping into my mother. The warmth of her body against mine ignited a flicker of guilt, but I had to know what Alex wanted. "I'll be right back." I rushed out, fleeing the suffocating confines of the room. As I stepped out onto the porch, the cool air wrapped around me like a lifeline, and I read Alex's message again. I could feel the warmth of his presence, the way he made the world seem a little less daunting. But those feelings were interspersed with a growing sense of trepidation. All those dreams, all that hope, were they passing through my fingers like sand? I wanted to answer, to see the colors of possibility unfurl before me. But just as I began typing, I heard a noisy sob coming from inside. My heart sank as reality rushed back, pulling me from that delicate thread of hope. The aimless thoughts of my own desires were forgotten as I realized with sudden clarity. There was so much more at stake than my love life that I pushed the door open to find my parents in each other's arms, frantic whispers hanging between them like a fragile web, mirroring my own sense of fear. "What's wrong?" The words slipped from my lips before I could contain them. My mother looked up, tears shimmering in her eyes, and before she could answer, I felt the ground shift beneath my feet. I had stepped into a storm, and it seemed the calm I had hoped to find lay miles away. The tension in the room hung thick, an almost palpable presence. I shifted my weight uneasily, half hoping that this was just another fleeting moment of my parents' anxiety that would dissolve as quickly as it had arisen. But the worry etched so deeply into their faces told me this was something far more monumental. "Lucy," my mother began, her voice quivering like a candle flame in the wind. "We received a call today about the house." My breath hitched in my throat. A sense of foreboding coiled tightly around my chest, squeezing tighter as she continued. "There's been an issue with the mortgage. They've issued a warning. If we can't pay." Each word was like a shot to my heart, generating waves of dread that picked at the edges of my composure. I could feel the world narrowing in on me, the walls closing like the jaws of a beast ready to consume everything whole. I barely registered the way my father squeezed my mother's hand, both of them tightly wound with fear I had never fully acknowledged until now. "What do you mean?" I croaked, forcing the words out through the knot lodged in my throat. "We were late on a payment, and they're threatening to foreclose. We might lose the house, Lucy." My father's voice faltered on the last word, his composure crumbling for just a moment before he quickly regained his facade. "We're trying to sort it out." Booty shook my head in disbelief, feeling the rush of hot tears pooling in my eyes. All those worries I'd tucked away under the weight of my own problems were crashing back into focus, layering on the guilt that clung to me like a shroud. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" I whispered, the bitterness tasting like ash on my tongue. "We didn't want to burden you further," my mother said, a mixture of pleading and despair resonating in her voice. "You're struggling with so much already. We thought we could handle it ourselves." I could feel the ground shifting beneath my feet again as reality sunk in. The two sublime worlds of love and family were colliding in a tumult I feared would take everything from me. But what do I do? The question tasted like desperation as it escaped, and I felt small and helpless in ways I never imagined I could be. "You don't have to do anything," my father interjected, frustration creeping into his tone. "We will figure this out as a family. That's what we've always done." But the weight of impending failure suffocated me. "This isn't just about you," I exclaimed, too raw and vulnerable to mask my emotions anymore. "In the one drowning. What about my loans? What can I even do?" My mother's eyes softened, flicking with understanding, but also with a helplessness that mirrored my own. "Lucy, this is hard for all of us," she pleaded gently. "You need to focus on you, too. Please don't forget that." Their voices faded into the background. A flicker of realization sparked within me. I felt as though I were at the edge of a precipice, bound by the chains of expectations not just for myself, but for everyone who loved me. How could I offer them comfort when I felt like a ticking time bomb? I stepped back into the cool embrace of the evening air, desperate to arrange my swirling thoughts. My phone felt heavy in my pocket, Yet it was the only mechanism of connection to a world outside of these four walls that had become both my sanctuary and prison. I pulled it out again, glancing at Alex's name, the mere sight of it igniting a small flicker of hope within me. His message still lingered there, hauntingly unresolved. Just as I started to type a response, the door creaked open behind me. It was Lucy, her expression etched with worry that mirrored my own. "Lucy, what are you going to do?" she asked quietly, her voice breaking the stillness of the night. I shrugged, suppressing the turmoil within. "I don't know. It feels like all I do is run from one disaster to the next." She stepped closer, her presence radiating warmth and compassion. "Whatever happens, just remember I'm here. You're not alone in this. Just please reach out to me whenever you need to talk. I care, okay?" Her honesty struck a chord in me, a reminder of the bond we shared. In the rush of chaos enveloping me, this connection felt like a lifeline. I nodded, tears shimmering in my eyes, grateful for her unwavering support even when I was so lost. Before I could say anything else, my phone buzzed again. Another message from Alex. The weight of anticipation filled the atmosphere as I read the contents, and my heart plummeted when reality hit. "I need to tell you something important. Something that could change everything between us." I could hardly believe it. Here was the possibility for a shift in my universe. Yet the chaos within my family loomed large, an unforgiving backdrop ready to swallow everything whole. I could feel the tether snapping, the distance between the hopes I had for a future with Alex and the unraveling truth lurking just beneath the surface. But the one thing I didn't anticipate, the one thing that dripped with irony and bitter clarity, was the reality that maybe, just maybe, this storm was bringing changes I couldn't afford to ignore. "Lucy?" Her voice broke through my hazy thoughts again, pulling me from the edge of my spiraling emotions. I looked up to find her standing there, a quiet resolve lining her features. Whatever was coming felt like both a tidal wave and a feeble trickle of hope. I lifted the phone again, fingers hesitating over the screen as I faced the world's complexities. There would be no neat resolutions tonight. No fleeting escapes, just the bursting wave of realization that even when dark storms threaten, flickers of light can still emerge if only I had the courage to follow them. With a trembling finger, I hit send, shifting the course of my night, my heart racing at the bittersweet taste of both dread and possibility as I whispered a silent prayer for what was yet to come. The stillness of the night was abrupt, shattering like glass as my phone buzzed again with another message from Alex. I swallowed hard, the weight of uncertainty pulling at my throat. The darkness around me seemed thicker, every shadow weighing heavier, tight with the unspooled tension from earlier. I could sense Lucy behind me, her own worry coiling around her as she waited, unsure whether to speak or let the silence linger. Before I even opened the message, my heart raced with the thought of its content. What could he possibly have to say that would change everything? My mind tripped over possibilities, some bright and hopeful, others dark and filled with dread. I opened the message, and my breath caught. "I've been offered a promotion that requires me to move. It's an incredible opportunity, but it's far away. I didn't know how to tell you, especially with everything that's happening right now." The air felt electric, a buzzing hum of reality crashing over me. Anguish clenched my heart as the shine of hope began to dull. I could almost hear the echoes of my parents' worry ringing in my ears, my mother's voice about burdens, my father's insistence that we would still be together. "Lucy?" Alex's name hummed on my tongue, the sweetness of it mingled with an impending bitterness. I typed back an immediate response, the words flowing like a lifeline. "I understand. You've worked so hard. I'm happy for you, really." But my fingers trembled as I constructed a sentence I never wanted to voice. "How do we move forward?" As I pressed send, the sense of an inescapable fork in the road crashed over me. I felt Lucy take a step closer, her warmth radiating, grounding me in this tempest of confusion. "What did he say?" she asked softly, the concern in her tone triggering a new wave of anxiety within me. "He got a promotion and he might be moving," I replied, my heart breaking as the words tumbled forth. Lucy sucked in a breath, her own realization echoing in her eyes. "Oh, Lucy," her compassion wrapped around me like a faded blanket, familiar yet frayed at the edges. "I'm so sorry. I can't imagine how you're feeling right now." The tears I had been holding back began their slow descent, trailing down my cheeks. It just feels like everything is falling apart. I choked out, utterly exposed. First, my family, and now this. I barely know what to do with myself. Her small hands found mine, intertwining gently. You don't have to navigate this alone. I'll help you however I can. I looked into her eyes, those deep wells of empathy, and suddenly, the swirling sense of hopelessness began to dull. Moments like these offered glimmers of kindness, and though the storm loomed overhead, her presence was like a fragile beacon. But just as that thought settled in my chest, my phone buzzed again. I opened Alex's text, my heart thudding painfully. Let's talk later tonight. I want to explain everything. We can figure this out together. The anticipation felt tangled with fear, a gnawing sensation that perhaps the earth was shifting beneath my feet once more. He wants to talk, I murmured, the weight of that reality striking hard. You want me to stay? Lucy asked quietly, her gaze searching my face for a sign that I hesitated. I don't want to drag you down with my mess. Lucy squeezed my hand tighter. You're not dragging me down. You're my best friend. I want to be here for you. Her warmth felt like a soothing balm against the coldness of anxiety that gripped my core. I nodded, an unspoken agreement bridging the two of us. As the minutes dragged by slowly, the heaviness of the approaching conversation with Alex loomed larger. Thoughts ricocheted in my mind like echoes in a cavern. What did he want to say? And was there a possibility of him staying? My heart raced at the thought of all the what-ifs, both shimmering with hope and heavy with despair. The clock ticked mercilessly toward our appointed hour. I tried to calm the whirlpool of feelings that surged within me, holding tight to the small moments of kindness Lucy had shown. When the phone rang, the sound sliced through the tension like a hot knife. I glanced at the screen, the unmistakable picture of Alex looking dapper in his usual charming way. My heart fluttered nervously, and I swallowed before answering. Hey, I said softly, fear intertwining with longing. Hey, you okay? His voice was warm, filled with familiarity that made everything else fade for just a moment. That I am trying, I admitted, each word punctuated by the weight that hung between us. Can we talk for a minute? I have so much to say. As I listened to him speak, discussing his hopes and the opportunity laid before him, a part of me fought hard against the rising tide of anxiety. He spoke with a fervor that reminded me of why I cared so much. Yet, beneath that fervor was an undercurrent of uncertainty. I sensed unease beneath the words he chose, like flickers of shadows hiding just beneath the surface. Lucy? He asked, a touch of worry threading into his question. Are you still there? I am, my voice trembled, an echo of all the conflicting emotions racing through me. I'm just processing everything. Let's figure this out together. You and me, okay? No matter what happens. Maybe it should have felt reassuring, yet dread pooled in my stomach. Nothing was simple anymore. But as I clung to his words, the shifting horizon blurred between hope and despair. All right, I whispered, but deep down, I knew the conversation was merely the beginning of a tumultuous journey. When I hung up, a sense of foreboding settled within me. I had taken the first step into the unknown. As I turned to see Lucy still at my side, her expression held a quiet strength. I felt that warmth, yet an unsettling revelation crept into my consciousness. Our world was shifting far beyond what we had once understood, and the answers that lay ahead might not be the reassurances my heart yearned for. And in that fleeting moment, just before the horizon darkened, I realized those flickers of hope and shadows danced together, both fated to play their part in the tumultuous chapter yet to unfold. The air crackled with unspoken tension as I turned away from Lucy, the echoes of my conversation with Alex still ringing loud in my ears. I couldn't shake the feeling that beneath his warm tone lay an unease, a fracture that teased at the edges of our connection. I paced restlessly in the dim light, every step heightening my disquiet. Lucy's eyes, filled with concern, tracked my every move. Maybe he's just nervous about the change, she suggested softly, though I could hear the uncertainty coding her words. New jobs can be a lot to handle. I nodded, though doubt lingered like a storm cloud overhead. But what if it's more than that? What if he feels trapped? What if? My voice quivered, a thread of fear entwining itself in my thoughts. What if he wants to break up? Lucy let out a small breath. You can't think like that. You love each other. It'll work out, will it? I countered, frustration creeping into my words. Everything is different now. My family, his job. I don't even know if I should hold on to hope. The silence cocooned us for a brief moment. I studied the flickering shadows dancing on the walls, searching for any sign that fate might take mercy upon us. What if he doesn't love me enough to stay? I asked, a knot forming in my chest. The sincerity in Lucy's eyes grounded me momentarily. If he truly loves you, he'll fight for you, just like you're fighting for him. Her faith felt like an invincible cloak that wrapped around my heart, shielding me from the encroaching darkness. Throughout our friendship, Lucy had shown me the beauty in vulnerability. In this moment, I realized it was okay to lean on her, to allow her kindness to be my anchor. But before I could speak, the chime of my phone interrupted. I turned quickly, my heart racing as I glanced at the screen. Another message from Alex. Can we meet tomorrow? There's something important I need to share face to face. Every heartbeat amplified the weight of the request. It's not just a conversation anymore, I murmured, the edge of dread creeping back into my voice. I looked at Lucy, whose expression was a blend of concern and courage. He wants to meet. She stepped closer, her hand resting gently on my arm. That's a step forward, right? You can clarify everything in person. Sometimes seeing someone's face helps. That I tried to muster optimism, yet the thought of that meeting filled me with trepidation. But what if this is to say goodbye? What if he decides to leave? At that, Lucy cupped my cheek, the warmth of her touch igniting a flicker of comfort. Whatever happens, you can handle it. You're stronger than you think. That I was grateful for her unwavering support, the way she could somehow illuminate the darkest corners of my spiraling thoughts. I don't want to lose him, Luce, I whispered, emotion welling deep within me. He's everything. Then don't think like that. She released her hold for just a moment, standing tall as if ready to face whatever storm lay ahead. Fight for him. Show him how much he means to you. Heart pounding in sync with the conflicting rush of emotions, I faced a new reality. Love for Alex struggled against the uncertainties that had erupted in our lives. What could I even say tomorrow? What would happen if he chose ambition over love? A distinct ache resided within me, impossible to ignore. As night settled deep into quiet stillness, we attempted to seek refuge in casual conversations, grasping for anything that could pull me away from the impending doom. But no amount of laughter could disguise what lay ahead. Eventually, I stepped into the confines of my dimly lit room. The shadows seemed to stretch longer, reflecting the tides of change swirling around me. I lay still, thoughts racing like wildfire, burning pathways through my mind. Lucy's reassurance lingered, yet my heart felt heavy, bound by invisible chains of fear. Sleep eluded me, a ghost dancing just beyond my reach. While I pondered whether love could withstand the ties severed by distance, ambitions, and choices yet to be made, I had no clear vision of what tomorrow would bring, only an opaque fog filled with longing. Hours later, the sun dared to rise, its gentle warmth enveloping me, yet the retreat of night left me on edge. The clock ticked down mercilessly to my meeting with Alex. I preened myself in hopes of exuding confidence. Just as I adjusted my necklace in the mirror, a notification buzzed violently on my phone. That I glanced down, my breath hitching at the sight of another message from Alex, only to find my heart drop as I removed it from the screen. A photograph, a human silhouette standing on the edge of a cliff, with a view of the city sprawling below. But it wasn't the city that arrested my attention. It was the persona woman standing beside him, her laughter echoing in the serene distance. The weight of the image crushed me, squeezing the breath from my lungs. Confusion mingled with anguish in a turbulent storm within me, as well as a sharp pang of betrayal coursing through every nerve. My eyes stung with tears as the very core of my existence trembled. Suddenly, there was no clarity left. All I could see was the abyss staring back at me. I stood frozen, heart racing while the resolve to find answers dissolved, replaced by an overwhelming dread. What did he not tell me? Who was she? Why did this feel like the end of everything? As unpredictability surged through me, chapters yet unwritten were unfolding, and the dawn light grew dark with unanswerable questions, choking out the glimmers of hope I had clung to so desperately. I woke in a daze, the image of Alex with that woman etched into the back of my mind like a tattoo, an indelible reminder of a happiness that felt ravaged and out of reach. Time crawled around me, each tick of the clock slicing through the silence of my room. amplifying the turbulence churning in my heart. My phone lay on the bed, the tiny device a harbinger of chaos. Resolutely, I picked it up and stared at Alex's photograph again. The carefree body language, the easy laughter. Was this the world he was stepping into? A world without me? I shut my eyes, willing the image to disintegrate. Suddenly, a new message popped up, illuminating the dark room. The image of a sunflower, its golden petals stretching towards the sky, a stark contrast to the weighty shadows in my head. It was from Lucy, a playful reminder of our garden outing last summer. Remember when we picked sunflowers? There's still magic in them, she had written, followed by a string of cheerful emojis. That I felt a flicker of warmth in my chest. Even amidst my storm, Lucy was an anchor, a cherished reminder of hope. I quickly typed back, "Can we talk? I need to see you." Minutes morphed into hours as I awaited her arrival, the thick air thickening with dread as the reality of my impending meeting with Alex loomed large. As I paced back and forth, I tried to quell the maelstrom of thoughts swirling inside me. Could I confront him? Could I even utter the words I saw the picture? What if what I thought was true was nothing more than my heart's cruel imagination? The door creaked open, and Lucy stepped in, her presence an immediate reprieve. She took one look at my face and rushed over, wrapping her arms around me. Hey, what's going on?" She could sense my distress, the way a sailor feels a storm brewing long before the sky changes. "That I got a message from Alex," I admitted, my voice tremoring, small and lost. I stepped back and wiped my cheeks free of unshed tears. It was a picture, with a woman, and they looked happy. Each word fell like heavy stones into the pool of my heart, rippling with hurt. "Tell me everything," she urged softly, her eyes searching mine in a way that made me feel a little less alone. As I recounted the previous night's twisted emotions, I could see Lucy's concern deepening, her brow furrowing with every grim detail I shared. "What if he's moving on, Lucy? What if I'm just a passing thought to him?" I grasped onto her shoulders, desperate for clarity, for something to latch onto amidst my upheaval. "Let's not assume the worst yet. He could have a reasonable explanation. People take pictures with friends all the time." Each word was like a small lifebuoy tossed into waters filled with uncertainty. "Oh, you really believe that?" My voice cracked. "Or is that just wishful thinking?" Before she could respond, my phone chimed again, causing my heart to race. It was Alex. The notification felt like a hand reaching into the icy depths of my despair to pull me into the flames. "Can't wait to see you," it said, simple yet laced with meaning I couldn't bear to decipher. "Lucy, I can't go to the meeting like this. What if it shatters me?" I felt small and vulnerable, stripped of armor and standing bare. "Then don't go," she replied bluntly. "You don't have to do anything you're not ready for. It's okay to protect your heart." But the idea of running away left a gaping wound in my chest. Alex had reached out, and beneath all the fears and anxieties simmered a flicker of hope, the chance to confront him. The chance to know the truth I was unwilling to let slip away. "That I need to face him," I stated finally, determination setting in, though my stomach twisted with turmoil. "I have to know." "You're brave," Lucy said, pride illuminating her features like a radiant lamp in the dark. "Whatever happens, you're not alone in this." Gathering my resolve, I took a deep breath, holding on to Lucy's words like a lifeline. "Okay, let's do this." The hour hand inched toward our meeting time. The air shifted hot and heavy with anticipation. The world around me blurred, and all that remained was the final face-off looming. Ahead, the drive to the cafe was a haze of emotions: dread, fear, but also a glimmer of determination that surged like an electric current through me. I clutched the steering wheel, tuning the radio louder in a desperate attempt to drown out the chaos in my mind. But just as I neared my destination, a sudden thought hit me like a bolt of lightning. What if this meeting revealed things I was not prepared to accept? What if he indeed had feelings for someone else? My heart raced in counter rhythms, hope of resolution entwined with the fear of destruction. I parked and stepped out of the car. The sun bore down, its rays too bright for the turmoil in my heart. I noticed a few people seated outside, their laughter mingling with the afternoon air. Yet to me, it felt like an echo of another Lithia life where everything was uncomplicated. With each step toward the entrance, anxiety coursed through me, becoming more than I thought I could bear. My heart thrummed violently in my chest. What if revealing my vulnerability only left me more exposed? Then I saw him through the glass window, Alex, leaning casually against the railing, the sunlight streaming in, illuminating his features. He was the same, yet different, as if something significant had shifted between us. I froze, rooted to the ground, mind racing with possibilities. The hesitation bubbled within me, but before I could second-guess my decision, he glanced up and caught my eye. The moment felt heavy with destiny, and as he stood up and walked toward me, the warmth of our shared moments flooded back: laughter, stolen kisses, late-night conversations. Yet just as the swell of longing surged within me, I noticed something: the woman from the photo. She was approaching from behind him, her smile bright, her hair gleaming in the sun. As the moment crystallized into something unbearable, I took a shaky breath, standing teetering on the edge of understanding and heartbreak. Everything I thought I knew was unraveling, and suddenly, my world felt as if it was cascading into chaos around me. What new truth awaited me in this tangled web of love and ambition? The answer hung palpably in the air, a crescendo of emotions rising, drawing closer to an inevitable breaking point. The door chimed as I stepped inside, every sound amplified in the silence that enveloped me. Time seemed to freeze as I locked eyes with Alex, whose smile faltered slightly when he saw the tension etched across my face. The happiness I once felt upon seeing him now twisted into something sharp: painful anticipation and dread tearing through me. "Lucy," he greeted, his voice warm yet tinged with uncertainty. He stepped closer, searching my expression with those familiar, stormy eyes. I could see the sincerity within, but a shadow loomed behind eye tone that echoed the image I had seen just moments ago. "Hey," I responded, my voice steadier than I felt. "I got your message." I could feel the intensity of his gaze as it bore into me, a weight that urged me to speak, to unearth the buried fears festering inside. "I really wanted to talk," he said, running a hand through his hair, a classic sign of his unease. The moment felt heavy, and suddenly the cafe around us faded, becoming an irrelevant backdrop to our unfolding saga. "Look, Alex, before anything else, I need to talk about last night," I said, my voice barely above a whisper, but inside I felt a surge of courage push me to confront the growing chasm between us. His expression shifted, a flicker of apprehension dancing across his features. "I know," he sighed, taking a small step back. "I was hoping you wouldn't see that picture." "It wasn't meant to hurt me," I interrupted, the words spilling out before I could catch myself. "It didn't just hurt me, Alex. It left me reeling. Who was she? What does this mean for us?" A tangle of emotions erupted within me, boiling over with every word I spoke. "She was just," he started, but I could see the struggle in his eyes, the conflict brewing behind his carefully composed exterior. "Just what? A friend?" I pressed, feeling the spiral of panic rising within. The desperation clawing at my throat began choking me. "How can I believe you now? I don't know what to think." He inhaled deeply, visibly trying to calm himself. "Lucy, I promise it's not what you think. She's a colleague. We've been working on a project together, and I wanted to tell you. I didn't want to worry you while you're dealing with everything else." "Everything else?" I echoed. "My family's financial problems, my mounting loans? You can't just brush past that, Alex. How do you expect me to feel secure with this?" The hurt in my voice hung between us, heavy and unyielding. But there it was, the hint of vulnerability in his eyes that made my heart constrict for wanting to reach out. I thought the world of us was different from that. It was supposed to be better. The frustration that had built inside spilled over, my words twisting like knives in the air. I thought we were honest with each other, that we could trust each other. He took another step closer, the distance between us shrinking. "You're right. We should have been more open, and I should have let you in. It wasn't fair to hide things from you, but it wasn't meant to be a betrayal. I thought I was protecting you." "Protecting me?" I repeated incredulously. "Protecting me from what? Your happiness?" The words cut deeper than I intended, and regret washed over me instantly. The bitterness tasted like salt on an open wound. "Lucy, it's not like that." His eyes searched my face, pleading for understanding. "I'm just starting to figure out where my career is headed. It's a huge opportunity, but it's terrifying. I don't want to make choices that affect us until I know for sure. I want to do this right." I swallowed thickly, each word weighing heavily on my chest. "And what does that mean for us? What happens if you take this promotion? What happens to us caused by your ambition, your dreams? He reached out, gently taking my hands in his. I could feel the heat radiating from his skin. If it means leaving, I don't. I jerked my hands away, my heart pounding in protest. Don't even say it. I can't bear to hear that, and know it's coming from your own lips, because it feels like that's what you're choosing. You're choosing to leave me behind. No, Lucy, please. I don't want to leave you. I'm scared too. He pleaded, the tremor of authenticity breaking through the tension. Everything is changing so fast, and I don't want to choose between my career and you. But I realize I shouldn't expect you to wait and be okay with it. I should have told you what's happening. I needed to include you, regardless of how tangled it feels. Silence hung between us. My stomach twisted, churned like a violent storm. I could see the truth in his eyes, the fear. The vulnerability in my heart began to soften, though logic told me otherwise. I hurt you, and I hate that, he said softly, each word laced with regret. But that picture was a moment in time, unguarded. I don't want to lose what we have because of this. We can work through it. We can figure this out together. I care about you, Lucy. I felt the tears surge again, hot and relentless. But what if it's not enough? What if I'm not enough? The fear seeped through my carefully constructed walls, unraveling me with each realization of how scared I truly was. You are more than enough, he said. The sincerity in his voice felt like a warm embrace. Nothing will change that. The challenges we face as a couple can either tear us apart or make us stronger. I choose to be open with you because I need you in my life, Lucy. His words cut through the noise in my heart, compelling me to look at the uncertainty framing our future. A glimmer of that familiar warmth began to blossom again, igniting hope in my chest. But we need to talk openly about our expectations. I can't be left wondering what will happen next. He nodded earnestly, determination igniting in his gaze. Absolutely. I want to face everything together. The door to something new began to creak open between us. I could feel the tremors of uncertainty give way to a quieter promise, woven with the thread of hope. Just as the clouds of doubt began to lift, he added, and whatever happens if this promotion leads me away, I want you to understand you'll always be my most treasured choice. My breath hitched at his words, battling between the hope that flickered and the fears that lingered. Then let's figure this out, I whispered, the vulnerability tinged with a sense of burgeoning warmth. And as Alex reached for me again, pulling me into an embrace, I felt a quiet resolve settle gently upon us. This was our moment, an invitation to navigate the chaos together, irrespective of what lay ahead. I hadn't realized until that instant just how fragile yet powerful love could be. Even amidst uncertainty, it could nurture roots that would grow through the cracks of hardship and trials. As we stood there, surrounded by an unforgiving world outside, I felt the warmth of connection igniting between us. It was a hint of promise, a chance at a fresh beginning. Then, a realization struck me like a bolt of electric energy. Nothing in life was certain. The only true promise we held was a commitment to meet each other where we were, to embrace both shadows and light. Would we be able to weather the storms, grow together through the unraveling chaos? And as I closed my eyes, tethering my heart to that hope, I felt a whisper of peace fill the air, reminding me that we could change our story, one day at a time, bound by the fragile yet fierce thread of love that had brought us here. Together, I repeated softly, intertwining my fingers with his as we faced the uncertain horizon hand in hand. This time, it felt like a promise that neither of us could break.